Hey, what's up? Welcome back to a new video. My name is Xander Douik and this YouTube channel is all about photography, filmmaking and visual effects. In today's tutorial, I'm gonna teach you how you can recreate the Obito Kamui effect. Let me first show you how the final effect is gonna look. Alright guys, before we move on with the tutorial, I want to remind you that once I hit 2000 subscribers, I will share with you guys my sound effects collection pack for free. Come on guys, we're less than 100 subscribers away, so bring it on. This is my sound effects collection, which contains different categories such as aero sounds, explosions, fantasy, flamethrowers, footsteps, horror, impacts, monster, natural elements, science fiction, swords, vocals and witches. It contains over 400 sounds ready to use, just drag and drop. So what are you waiting for? Let's get that 2k subscriber milestone and download this awesome SFX pack for free. With that being said, let's now proceed with our tutorial. So after shooting your videos, don't forget taking an empty shot, as always, it is important. And now open up After Effects. Drop your clip and your clean plate, and now the first thing we're gonna do is to separate the subject from the background using the roto brush tool. So double click on your clip, select the roto brush tool and start masking your subject. Then hit the play button and wait for it to finish rotoscoping. After it's done, go back to the main comp, rename this layer to subject, and now let's start by creating the first effect, which is the Disintegration Effect. So duplicate your subject layer, then add a fractal noise effect to the copy, increase the contrast and lower the brightness, and next add a tint effect and change the white to a brownish color. Then add a linear wipe effect, which we will use to reveal the disintegration. Now choose a frame where you want the effect to start and add a keyframe. Increase the transition completion to 100%, then move to the frame where you want the effect to end and lower the value back to 0. You can dial the wipe angle value to where you want it to start. In my case, I want it to start revealing from this leg. And now increase the feather value to end up with this look. Now select both subject layers, right click and choose Pre-Compose. And now on the new comp, add a shatter effect. Change the view to rendered. Next, change the shape pattern to glass and increase the repetitions to around 200 and lower the extrusion depth down to 0. On the fourth tab, I will set the position on the starting point, which is the left leg, then lower the radius to 0.15 and the strength to 0.2. Now on the physics tab, increase both the rotation speed and randomness to 1, change the viscosity to 0.2 and decrease the gravity to 0.2 as well, then change the gravity direction to 0 to make the particles go upwards and increase the gravity inclination to 50. Now go to the frame where you want the effect to start and add a keyframe for the position, radius, viscosity and gravity. Then go to the last frame and change the position to the right eye, which is the Sharingan eye, because the effect is going to end right there. Then increase the radius, lower the viscosity and increase the gravity to make the particles go up, to end up with this look. Now press U to reveal the keyframes, go to the first keyframe, then move back one frame, and here you wanna lower the radius value to 0. The next effect we're gonna be creating now is the Twirl Effect. So go to Effects, type in Twirl, and add it to your subject comp. First of all, set the Twirl center on the Sharingan eye as always, then create a keyframe for both angle and radius. Now move forward to the last keyframe and lower the angle value like so. Then increase the twirl radius to make all the particles twirl and keep adjusting both the angle and radius until you are satisfied with the results, to end up with something like this. Now press T for the opacity, go to the end of the effect, add a keyframe, then move forward a bit and lower the opacity down to 0. Now I'm going to add this green screen Kamui footage. I will leave you a download link down in the description with all these stock footages, and also I will leave you the sound effects I used when editing, because many of you guys keep asking me for the sound effects I use. So everything is going to be down in the description. Now add a key light effect to the Kamui clip to get rid of that green screen. Then scale it up a bit and position it so the center of the Kamui is right on the Sharingan eye. Next, add a Gaussian blur effect and increase the blurriness to about 25. Then right click on this layer and choose time stretch, and lower the value to 50 to make it faster. Now press T for opacity, create a keyframe at the beginning, lower the value to 0, then move forward a couple frames and increase it to 100. And then move to the end of the effect and do just the opposite. Now add a bulge effect, increase both the horizontal and vertical radius, and increase the taper radius as well. Then go to the first keyframe, add a keyframe for the bulge height, set it to 0. Now go to the middle of the effect and change the bulge height to 1. Then go to the last keyframe and lower it back to 0. Alright, now we're gonna create a new adjustment layer and add a bulge effect to it also. Increase both the vertical and horizontal radius. Then set the bulge center on the Sharingan eye, and now go to the first frame, add a keyframe for the bulge height, set it to 0, then move to the middle of the effect and change it to 0.2, then go to the last keyframe and decrease it back to 0. Press Ctrl plus D to duplicate this effect, then add a Gaussian blur effect, and as always add a keyframe right here, go to the middle of the effect, increase the value to 15, then lower it back to 0 on the last keyframe. The last thing we're gonna do now is to add some effects to the background layer. First one is a vignette effect. I always want to add a vignette effect, it looks cool. So increase the amount to about 150, then add a curves effect and lower the brightness a little bit. Next, copy this background layer, and on the new copy I will add a video copilot heat distortion effect. Add a keyframe on the beginning for the distortion amount. Add another keyframe in the middle and increase the value to 30. Then another keyframe at the end and decrease it to 0. I will now create an elliptical mask on this layer, so the heat distortion effect is only visible inside this circle. Make it a bit larger. Now change the wind direction and increase the wind speed a bit. I will go to this middle frame and increase the distortion amount to 50 instead of 30. Then add a keyframe for the heat amount as well. Move back to the first keyframe and lower it to 0. Then do the same thing on the last keyframe to finally end up with this look. The last thing I'm gonna do is to add these flying embers. Change it to screen, scale it up a bit and position it. Then copy the twirl effect from the subject comp and paste it on this embers layer. And change the twirl center to the Sharingan eye as always, and that's it. Here is how it looks now. That's it for today's tutorial. Bring it on, guys. We're only a few subscribers away from 2K, so let's reach it ASAP. And if you have any other video ideas, just leave me a comment below. And now, thank you guys for watching, and as always, if it's thinkable, it's doable.